This is the Voice of LATEA with Miguel Treyes. I'm the co-executive director of Teatro LATEA, and joining me today is Tatiana Ronderos, who's head of art relations in the office and curator at times, and very many times actually, of the Open Screen series. Today we're talking film. We're talking film because I think film is the currency of the age. It has been the currency of the age since the 20th century. And, you know, I couldn't fathom running a theater without having a great film program. And it might rub some people a crazy way, but I think it will attract people to the theater that we have a robust film program. Besides, there's so many people that are expressing themselves through film, and I think LATEA should be a forum for young and emerging filmmakers of all ages. Tatiana, how did you come to film and to curate films here at LATEA?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And yes, I love this program. It's my favorite thing to do in the office because I love film. I love film, and as I said, I think it's the language of our generation, of my generation, but it has been for a long time now. But images speak louder than words, so film is the way to communicate what's going on in one's brain. So I love that, and I love to see what the Latin community has to do with what it does with the camera, with actors, with music. And at the end of the day, I think it's the union of all the arts. So if it's not the hardest, it's on the top, the hardest thing to do, I think, is to make a film and to collaborate in film.
Tatiana has been instrumental in reactivating or at least energizing the Open Screen. We started very early in my tenure with the Open Screen program, and it's been hard to fill the seats. It's been hard to get the people to curate the shows. I mean, I set it running because my father is a film critic. I grew up going to the movies, you know, all the time, seeing Charlie Chaplin, seeing Citizen Kane, seeing the films of Maria Luisa Bamberg and other great filmmakers. But, you know, I was like, we're in New York City. How come, you know, it's getting so hard to fill up? And then fortunately, when Tatiana walked into the office, it was very, very clear that we shared that passion for film and that she had an intimate connection with people out there doing it. So, you know, how do you go about, like we do have other guest curators, like Arilyn Martinez joined us recently. She did a remarkable job inviting Judith Escalona, who's a well-known filmmaker from Puerto Rico. She screened BX3M, which is the first time we've screened like actually the second time we screened a full-length movie in Open Screen, because typically they're shorts or shorter films up to 15 minutes. But Tatiana, how do you go about, you know, prospecting for the magnificent films that I've seen in the last 3 Open Screens that you have curated? How do you get these people?
Well, I think being an non-for-profit thing, it's organization. It's a key. It's a key because since we're not looking, I don't need the money. I can look for good material. People that spend the money doing their films, and they make cheap films. They can apply for festivals and festivals and festivals and show them. But I'm looking for good films, and right now, because of the platforms, technology, phones, everything, young people are broke, but they're doing good films and they want to see their work. They're out of film school, so I really aim for that. Film school is, I think it's an ocean of opportunities to get good artists. Also, I use a lot of Latin female artists because filmmakers.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is this shit about people? I see a lot of female filmmakers, you know, what's going on?
Well, they do the best work, what can I say? No, I think also it's because right now, the era that we're in, women are doing more. They're speaking up, and I think that's good. And men, we can't lie, they have more opportunities, they have more platforms. And I am lucky enough that I can curate here in LATEA, and LATEA is a great place for women to work at because their voices are heard. Sometimes we even, we take over, and it's good because we know how to work together. But filmmakers, I go to, female groups of filmmakers. I go to Latin filmmakers groups that I know on Facebook. And because I work in film, I know young people, PAs, sound engineers, DPs. And I know these people that there's like, okay, I got this, but how can I show it? And I don't have, I don't have the dough to put it, to have a distribution. So
One component of this that I think folks would like to hear about is also we show the films, then we bring the director or whoever's here from the film to sit down, and then we pepper them with questions in a rapid fire format, which Tati moderates. And also, when we're lucky, we also have a guest, which we have a very modicum honorarium. We pay them, someone that's a professional in the field. And I distinctly remember a guest that had been an editor/director at Sesame Street, who was Colombian. Who was this magnificent guy? That was such a memorable interview session that Tatiana conducted.
I know, Rafael Parra, he is the editor of Sesame Street and Plaza Sésamo. He's won 2 Emmys working for TV. That means 3 cameras. I think he was a treasure to find, and he was open enough to share his knowledge. He is a teacher at the new school. And because he knows the industry and he knows how hard it is to get your work seen, he was like, of course I'll come in and I'll share my work. Also, that because he works in Sesame Street and he loves education, he was very open to come and speak to our guests. The Q&A is my favorite part because people are open to hear criticism and to hear what the audience has to say, even if they take it in or they don't. They're having the films shown and people are seeing their work, and that's a blessing. So yeah, Open Screen rocks.
And even if it sounds innocuous, but I'll make a plug. We do have fresh popcorn, so when you do come and see us, check out the popcorn. That was Frank Fantini set up the popcorn machine, which was a legacy from a great artist because Open Screen resulted from a conversation I had in the theater with Vagabond. And Vagabond is a dear friend and an artist from Puerto Rico, and he planted the seed and he collaborated at the beginning, but like all true artists, is in and out, doing magnificent things out there. But I just want to, honor Vagabond and the popcorn machine. I also want to remember one evening where we cross-pollinated something called MLK, or an Afro-Latin thing for Martin Luther King, a festival that we'll talk about later, or on some other, podcast. And we did an open screen, kind of like a tie-in. And that was a really, really special movie, because it's a movie called Pelo Malo, a Venezuelan full-length film that very poignant, very touching, very powerful in this particular juncture in Latin American history, and particularly in the history of Venezuela. And that was that movie came to us thanks to the good offices of Amilcar Priestley. Amilcar runs the Afro-Latino Festival in Brooklyn, and he suggested that film, and we looked at it, and it was the first time that we had our new projector. And the projector stopped in the middle of the show. I had to tell people to take a break and have a beer, but eventually everybody was able to enjoy Pelo Malo. How do we get movies here, Tati? How can people get in contact to show their films for the next open screen?
Yes, just please visit teatrolatea.org. You can just write us from there. You can visit our Facebook as well, and Instagram is always the greatest tool because we read the messages and we post the callings and the events on Instagram, Teatro Latea at Instagram, and we're always open to it. Please join us for the open screen, and yeah, that's it.
What's your favorite? I mean, this is a cheap shot, but what's your favorite film? If you can answer that quick, that's a loaded question. But what's your favorite film?
It's I guess on the top of my mind, if I have to go back into my early years, it has to be The Mask with Jim Carrey or Back to the Future.
Oh my God, that's so wow! Yeah. That's like 80s, right?
Yes, Back to the Future has to be top there. But Rocky, I think Rocky is my favorite movie.
Touche. That's such a powerful film.
Indeed, my favorite movie. Yeah. And right now, it's everything. People are doing such good work. Just now, The Dead Don't Die. It's happening. It's an amazing film. And yeah, follow also Latin, Hispanic, creating films like Lin-Manuel Miranda is doing The Heights. And we have
we want to check it out. Yeah. One of our founders, I've been informed by Tati, is going to be as a role in The Heights.
Yes. And also, we're a great location to film. I think that the theater is big enough, we're flexible enough, and we're theaters that, you know, we're open to film and collaborate with filmmakers always.
Well, thank you, Tati. This has been one of my favorite podcasts, and I hope, you know, some of you guys can join us, you know, here in the movies. I'd also like to shout out our producers, Rick Herrera and Alexandra Gutierrez, for these podcasts. Thank you.